It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We ended up in Japan because we wanted to learn the Javanese language, meet the Javanese people and eat food from Java and explore other parts of Indonesia. The Talk Funny podcast from Nagoyaradio.com and Nagoyacomedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Welcome back to Talk Funny. This is a podcast presented by Nagoyacomedy.com and brought to you by Nagoyaradio.com. Check out our webpage, Nagoyacomedy.com, Facebook, Nagoya Comedy page, and also contact us at sportjapan@yahoo.com. I'm Mark Bailey. We're here with Steve Howard and Joe Hindman, and Joe Magic, as we call him. We were talking off mic about lost and found and all of the things that, as you were mentioning, you know, every time you lose something on a train, you always get it back in the Nagoya subway system. Right, because
even if you don't want it,
yeah, and you know, because they have an auction, that's a big scam. They don't want to give it back to you. You know that, right? They have the big flea market sale, and I think that's how they pay for the announcements and the recordings, the 1950s music and the recording system and stuff. But I've counted it. I've lost 32 umbrellas on the train over 28 years. That's not a lot over 28. You know, but I've never found an umbrella on the train. What are the odds of that? I mean, how many do I have to lose before I'm going to find one on the train? And so, since they're never going to give it back to me anyway, I just take, like, you know, rotten avocados that I have and just leave them there. I mean, you know, keep that in lost and found. I'm never going to get it back, apparently. So what have been your experiences, Joe, with lost and found?
I haven't lost too many things. Just
your mind?
My mind, and self-respect, and a few others.
The will to live. That's for the outside of the train. If you lose the will to live, you don't get on the train. You get under the train.
True. I've been pretty careful. I've seen enough people, you know, drop their phone on the seat, or they leave a bag or something like that. Invariably somebody calls and says, hey, you know, we've got it, if it's got some ID on it. And otherwise you can, you know, go and maybe they'll find it there at the office for you, or you can go to the shop. They've got the Lost and Found shop down by Nagoya Station, and you can go in there and buy your stuff back.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really cheap, though. So
it's brought to you by Pol Pot, where we sell the, we charge you for the bullets that killed your relatives. The Pol Pot subway system. Well, in my experience, like, I lost a bag that had, you guys know the whole story, but I thought I might have lost the bag on a subway that had some clips and stuff in it, just some metal clips and equipment that's easily replaceable, but I didn't want to have to go buy them again. And I went that night, and they said, about what time and where were you? I said, it's probably Kaneyama Station about this time, blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, in that case, you need to go tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 9:50 a.m., and then you can get it then. And they said, well, I have to work until noon. Where's it going to be at noon? They said, well, by noon, it's going to be at the headquarters, and then you're going to have to go down to Nagoya Station. It's actually not Nagoya Station. It's Shiakusho. It's near Shiakusho or something. You have to go there and then pick it up. And they said, then the day after that, it's going to be on tour with King Tut, and so you're never going to see it again. I said, well, why don't you just keep it at the station where you found it? That would be cool, you know? And they said, so call this number if it's on a weekday, and call this number if it was on a weekend. Call this number if the item you lost begins with a vowel, and call this number. You know what? I'll just buy the stuff again. It's easier. So have you ever lost something and you got it back?
Not really, no.
No. I think that's the point. And so also, Nagoya subway systems are like more. If you've been to Osaka, Fukuoka, and Tokyo, it's the most expensive subway rides. Yeah. You know, for the distance, it's amazing. Thanks to Nagoya subway system. So, what are some of the strangest things you've seen on a train? You have any stories on that, Joe?
Strangest things. The thing that struck me the most.
Not counting rides back with us.
Well, that's other people's story. But. I was like really perplexed when I got here and discovered that folks, you know, dressed in their business suits in the morning and holding a briefcase could fall asleep while standing up.
Wow.
And I worked out at the end of the line, the Higashiyama line in Fujigaoka, and so there would be a lot of people who would wake up at that station and look really surprised and alarmed at the same time, you know, and go running down the stairs to get on a train to get them to work.
Did you hear the story about the Omu Shinrikyo attack? And for the people that don't live in Japan, the sarin gas attack by this religious nut group. It was one of the very few terrorist attacks ever in Japan. I think some of the others were like communist attacks, like in the 60s and 70s, but they've had very few of them. But Omu Shinrikyo was, I think, it was in the 90s, right? And I was living here then, and I remember reading the Japan Times, and they interviewed a guy. He was on a train, and the car right behind him is the one that had the gas attacks, and he had the cold mask on, and so for some reason it didn't even affect him, and he slept through the whole thing. A cop woke him up. Cop thought he was dead, and cop thought he was just knocked out. But he goes, no, I was just asleep. I always fall asleep. And they said, so what did you hear? What did you notice? And he goes, I've ridden this train every day at the same time, same car, same seat for 48 years in a row. I didn't hear anything. I don't remember anything. It's just I turn off when I get on the train. They're like, you didn't see people screaming for their lives and grabbing children, yanking children by one arm and lurching out of the doors before they even stopped at a train tracks, and they're just running through the tunnel, and you didn't hear all the noise and the sirens and the EMTs? He's like, no, like I said, I ride this train every morning, and I just try to tune everything out. It's like, yeah, you might die next time. It's like, you didn't notice the buildings falling on 9/11? You didn't notice that, and all the smoke and everybody running up north on Manhattan Island? You didn't know? Because like I said, I always walk this way every morning at 8:50 a.m. and I didn't really notice it. You didn't notice like every fire truck in the city and every fire truck in New Jersey was heading the opposite direction from where you were walking? No, because like I said, I always just walk on the street, and I just kind of try to tune things out. And so he wasn't a very good witness, but he was a very typical salaryman. And he said, I just sit there. They said, well, you were listening to music. He goes, no, I just tune out and I just sleep. You didn't notice when the mushroom cloud came up and the radiation burnt your skin off? No, like I said, because I ride this train, and I just thought that's what sometimes it rains, sometimes your skin just falls off.
So if he takes a sleeping pill, he just drops into a coma then, or? Yeah,
it's like this guy's going to be, this guy's not a very good observer. He wouldn't make a very good observational comic.
Yeah.
He can. You ever notice? Didn't you notice you weren't getting paid for the last 30 years? Like I said, I just always
go to work.
I never check the book. I don't know.
200 yen bent.
I don't like to make it's almost Jewish. It's almost like the passive aggressive mom thing. It's like, what happened? I mean, Aunt Sadie died? Yeah, she died. When did this happen? 4 years ago. Why didn't you tell me? I just found out. I didn't want to bother you. You're busy and you don't even call me regularly. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? Suddenly the Aunt Sadie died? I'm just going to say that? Well, you could have told me that she was sick. Well, yeah, she was sick for about 8 years. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't even know she was sick. Well, she was 80. Yeah, I knew she was 80, but last time you mentioned her, she was 70, so I thought she was fine. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I heard I heard people screaming for their lives, and I heard people vomiting due to the sarin gas and everything, but I didn't really want to, I didn't want to give him my seat. So I've been sat in the seat, I didn't really notice. So anything else strange you've seen on the trains?
I almost got into a fist fight with two Yankee guys on a JR train because they lit up cigarettes, and it was, JR's no smoking, and all the other passengers just sat there and didn't do anything, and I got in their face and told them, put it out or we're going to have a problem here, and eventually they did, fortunately, but by that time the whole car was full of cigarette smoke.
Did they put it out in your face? Or?
No.
That's one thing about I've noticed is like the Japanese love to point out the rules to you.
Yeah.
But if you point out the rules to them, it's like, what do you think this is? You think you can vote here or something?
Right.
What do you think, you're a human?
I had a guy that accosted me on the Shinkansen once, and he said, you're not allowed to smoke in this car. And I said, what? And he just started on about how, smoking was now not allowed on the lines and all of this stuff. And I said, if you take a look at the sign right behind you, it says smoking car, and these are ashtrays, and that guy behind you is smoking, and the guy to your right is smoking, and the guy behind me is smoking. And he looked around, and then he had to go and ask another Japanese guy about it. And then he came back and semi-apologized to me and said, oh, I was not correct. And, yeah, it was a beaut. Maybe in lighter and more fun antics on the train. I'd been here for about 2 weeks, and I was leaving my job at Nova and heading over to a local bar that lots of foreigners like to go to, and kind of got onto the wrong section of the train, and ended up by Nagoya Dome, and there'd been a concert there apparently, and the car went from nearly empty to packed right there at that moment, and I found myself surrounded by 4 college girls who were still in the mood to dance and grind around, and they surrounded me, and I'm thinking to myself, so this is how it's going to be in this country. And I've been waiting for about 14 years for anything like that again, and it's just not happened.
I tell younger guys, stories about how much fun it was. I don't know if that was in the 90s. A lot of fun stuff like that happened in the 90s. It's right now in the U.S. as we're doing #MeToo. In the 90s in Japan, it was like #MeToo. That's what that.
There you go. In America, they're upgrading it this year. It's #YourNext.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to get so bad that your body parts are actually going to start calling you out. It's like, Mark's groin is here calling a press conference, and he got Gloria Allred. My groin will be, holding a press conference saying, he groped me, he did inappropriate things. He said, he said horrible things to me while he was groping me. He strangled me several times. He strangled me so hard that I vomited. I didn't even recognize what I vomited. It was horrible, and he did this repetitively. He made me look at barnyard animal tapes. He made me watch Kindergarten Cop 85 times, just pausing when it was the kids' shots. And Joe's looking at me like, I think we're going to cut this part.
And then Gloria Allred's going to be standing there stroking your member on the shoulder, saying, "There."
Yeah. We're going to pause now for our sponsor, Toys R Us.
Joe's looking at me like, this is going to be cut, right? No, it's not.
That was actually, you're not reading my face right. That was my, oh my God, I think I might have a semi-funny joke here. Okay, now if I can only get Mark to pause and let me get that in there.
And then my defense is going to be, if the condom doesn't fit, you must have quit. So,
you're in Japan, you can find a condom that doesn't fit.
Exactly. So I had a story about that I'm actually not proud of, and you thought that was one. No, this is the one I'm not proud of. I was at Fujigaoka Station. I was coming back from a job. At the station, there's a really cute girl in front of me, kind of office lady type, very nice, and she had high heels on, and I thought, she looked at me a couple of times. I mean, I might actually try to talk to her. As I approached her, I accidentally stepped on her high heel, and as the train was coming, it fell onto the tracks, the high heel, and she almost lunged for it, and I grabbed her shoulder so she can't lunge for it. She almost lunged for it. You got cameras there. I love that shoe! You got cameras there. Yeah. I love that shoe more than I love life. And then
maybe the shoe was just an excuse,
and it fell.
For the cameras.
She dropped.
Yeah, there you go.
You're wondering, when's the other shoe going to drop, Hopefully in my hotel room. Hey! No. Part of me is like, well, that was my fault. I should probably apologize, but my train's here. So she can't get on the train. She has to wait until the train leaves and see if her shoe's okay, and then call the station master. Now, who's the gaijin on the platform here that's going to get into trouble? Is she going to get into trouble or me? Because technically it was my fault, but it was an accident. When's the last time a policeman has believed, yeah, that was an accident? I mean, I've been in a lot of dust-ups where the police always take the Japanese person's side, and she was in the right. But, there's nothing in it for me to stick around and go, yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry about that. Those are 50,000 yen shoes. Okay, yeah, I'm really sorry. So here's 25,000. Yeah, but I can't find that color again. So it's like,
you can't buy just one.
What are we, in Israel? Jeez, what are we, in Israel? Hey.
The cops aren't going to buy that from you because, foreigners are highly calculating and methodical people. And that's how we all ended up here in Japan in the first place, right?
Yeah, because we're cunning.
Yeah, it's been our plan all along.
That's actually a good Jingle Girl line, right? It's like, we came to Japan. I don't know if you hear those, but I love writing those, and I'm running out of them. That's a good one. We came to Japan because we are long-term planners. Yeah, that's it. Something like that, right?
Yep. It was an accident.
She's waiting, and she looks at me, and I'm like, go in there. I'm sorry. And then she looks at me like, you're going to stick around, right? Like, no, I'm not getting down there to go find it. I mean, call
get my shoe.
And so I get on the train, I just say, good luck. Because my train's here, and I have two shoes on. You don't, and you can't come, and you can't file a complaint.
And you can't chase me without hobbling on that one high heel.
Yeah. And before then, she had never really hated gaijin. But if you run into a girl with one shoe walking down the street,
and she hates gaijin. Is this the story of how Mark met his wife?
Yeah. And believe me, she got me back. She got me back for that shoe because now I'm into her for 5 million yen, whatever. That was something I was not proud of. But I know the math. I know the subway gaijin math. It's like anything happens on a train, it's the gaijin's fault. Mm-hmm. So I was on a train one time, and there's this kind of, what's the word for, kind of mentally challenged Japanese guy. And they have a lot of those on the Tsurumai line because there's a clinic there. And he was molesting, there's a girl standing, and he was kind of molesting her. He's like, air molesting her, and he was just kind of with his hands over.
Oh, the Franken.
Yeah, the Franken. He was doing, but a little bit distant, without touching. Yeah, and he was like slobbering. He's drooling, and he's like da 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 da. And this really cute girl is just standing there, and she's just really horrified. A seat opens up. I sit down, and this is right next to her and the crazy guy. And then some other people come on, so she has to make a choice. There's a seat now open next to me, and she can come sit next to me, or she can stand with the crazy guy on the other side. So of course she went to the other side and stood with the crazy guy, because it's better than sitting next to a gaijin.
Well, you know how calculating they are.
Yeah.
Well, they break your shoes, though.
Yeah,
he probably hired this guy to act this way to get me to come over and stand next to him.
Gaijin are unpredictable. I know this crazy guy's going to rape
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
but I mean, Gaijin, who knows? He
God
might,
knows what he's going to do.
he might rape me. The Gaijin will rape me and break my shoe, and those shoes are hard to replace. So.